Hi, welcome to Stone's Throw Retreat. I'm Chad, your host, and I want to thank you for staying with us and hope you're enjoying your stay. I'm going to give you a quick tutorial here on how to use the wood stove so that you can use it efficiently and safely to enjoy your winter visit here. So the first thing you need to know is that this wood stove does need to be used properly, and there's certain things that you need to do in step in order to make it work well without smoking out the house. So first, the things that you're going to need are some fire starters right here. They'll be up on the mantle. A lighter, some kindling, and of course some bigger blocks of wood. So what you need to do first is make sure that the damper to the stove is open. And what the damper is, it's a mechanism by which it allows air to flow freely or not flow through the chimney to create the right airflow that you're going to need. So in order to make sure that that damper is open, that's this little lever right here. And so wherever it might be when you get here, you need to make sure that is pulled all the way out, and that's going to allow air to flow into the fireplace and up through the chimney. So what you want to do then is make sure that's in place, and then go ahead and open the door. And you should just have a nice open fireplace. Might be a little bit of ash in the bottom of the fireplace, which is actually an okay thing. It helps to kind of insulate and get the fire started. So what you want to do is start out with a few pieces of kindling here. And you're going to create kind of a little stack of wood with some smaller pieces of wood in order to get the fire going. It's much easier to get a fire going with small pieces of wood than it is large pieces of wood. So you're going to kind of build a little log cabin in here, kind of. So you're going to put a piece of kindling back there, put one a little bit more in the front, so you kind of have a little trough right in here, right? You're going to take one of your fire starter bricks and just kind of lay that down on the bottom, and then you're going to take another piece of kindling. And of course it's kind of a shallow stove, so you're not going to be able to put it straight in. You're going to have to kind of angle it in there a little bit and kind of put that like that. And you're going to grab another one and just kind of make yourself a little Lincoln log house there. And then what you're going to do is take your lighter, you just push the lever and keep clicking it until it lights. And just hold that over the starter brick for a few seconds there. Let that get going. I don't know if you can see that. Mm-hmm. And then just make sure that one of the pieces of kindling is kind of over that starter log with a little bit of space in there in order to get some airflow, because you know what fire needs to burn is oxygen, heat, and fuel. So you've got your oxygen with the damper open. It's pulling oxygen in the door and up the chimney, creating some airflow. This is going to be the wood is your fuel, and of course the fire block is creating your heat. So that's how you want to get it started. You just want to give that a few minutes to kind of let the kindling piece light and get going a little bit. So you just kind of keep an eye on it. That little fire starter block is going to burn for probably about 15 minutes or so to help get the fire going. So no paper needed, and in fact we'd prefer if you did not burn paper or any kind of recyclables in the chimney, because it will gum up the chimney and make the stove a little less efficient that way. So as you can see, you got a little flame going here, and the piece of kindling is starting to light. And so then what you're going to do is you're going to grab a piece of wood here, throw that right on top as the fire gets going, and let that go for a few minutes here. And you're going to see that as it starts to burn and smoke, you can see where the smoke is heading up the chimney. Now if I were to push this damper in, and what's going to happen is that's going to close off the chimney, and that smoke is going to start to back up into the house, which is what we don't want. So once again, you just need to make sure that that damper is open as the fire gets going. And you can see your bigger piece of wood is already starting to light. So what you can do is go ahead and close the door. Once the wood's going a little bit there, you can close the door. And the fire might slow down just a little bit, but it's going pretty good, so it's gonna catch. And as of right now, this door is just kind of open, right? So you want to make sure you latch it. Either flip the lever up or spin it around that way. And either way, it's going to lock the door. And you just want to make sure that door's not going to open and is latched at all times when you're not really doing much with the fire. And then we'll come back in a couple of minutes here, and once the fire gets going, and show you how to manage the damper and the fan in order to get heat into the house. Hi there, here we are back with the fire. So as you can see, we got a nice little fire going. That log has ignited and is burning pretty well. So now we're going to talk about how to manage this once you have the fire going. So again, before you open the door, you want to make sure the damper is all the way open, all the way pulled out. And then go ahead and open the door. When you open the door, just crack it a little bit. Let the air start flowing through there to get the airflow up through the chimney. If you open it abruptly, you might get a billow of smoke that comes out into the house, which is what we don't want. So go ahead and open the door a bit there. Careful, it's going to be very hot. And there's our nice fire. And the stove isn't very deep. It is pretty wide there. And so this is a nice little fire for kind of some ambiance. If you really want some heat to start warming the house a little bit though, you're going to want to put a little bit more wood in there. You don't want to stuff it so full that there's no way for air to circulate around, but a few pieces in there is going to do just fine. So we go ahead and get another piece of wood in there just like that. And go ahead and close the door again. Make sure we lock it. Now once the fire gets going, as you know, right now, again, all the air is taking the heat up the chimney and out of the house with the damper open. So if you want some of that heat to kind of stay in the house and get pushed back in this way, what you can do is just manage the damper. Maybe close it halfway or so. That way you got a little bit of air still circulating in there and feeding your fire, but yet all of the heat's not going out of the chimney, and you're going to get some of that heat back in here. As you can see, the fire has died down just a little bit just by doing that. So if I open it up again and you give it a couple of minutes, that fire is going to start up again. So maybe you want to wait until the log is burning pretty well before you do that. And that's how you manage the damper. So you just kind of play with that a little bit to to get just the right mix of air versus dampening to heat the house. And then the other thing you can do to help get some of that heat into the house is use the fan. So there's a switch on the side of the unit here. It says fan. There's a high and off and a low. So if I just press the low, for example, you can hear it. You may not be able to hear, but the fan will come on, and what that'll do is start blowing heat into the room and help heat it up. Or you can put it on high. There you go, and it'll do that a little bit more quickly. So you can just let the fan go. That'll help heat the room, and now you've got a nice fire going. Just want to mention also, so you've got a few pieces of big logs here that you can use, and if you burn through all of this wood, just know that out on the deck right outside the sliding door there's another rack full of split dry wood. Please make sure to keep that covered, as we've had some weather here and we don't want to keep it dry. So hope you enjoy your fire and your winter stay with us. Thanks very much, and let us know if there's anything you need.